Hey guys, I hope you're having an amazing day and an amazing week. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm actually so excited for this video. I've been trying to film this for like the past few months, but I could just never get it right. I'm going to be covering everything I did in my gap year. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. From how I felt, what I did, overcoming anxiety, the beginning of my weight loss journey, and much more. I have my notebook with a bunch of questions. So I originally planned to ask my followers on Instagram to ask me some questions, but I'm not that famous yet, so nobody really answered. So I went to my next option, which was ChatGPT, and I entered in a bunch of things about my gap year, and I asked ChatGPT to suggest some questions. So huge thank you to ChatGPT for suggesting these questions. So sit back, relax, get yourself a coffee, and let's talk about my gap year. So before we even dive into the questions, I think we should establish what a gap year is. So according to Google, the definition for a gap year is a period, typically an academic year, taken by a student as a break between school and university or college education. So the questions that I have here are divided into different sections, and each section is a different topic. So now that we've established what a gap year is, let's dive into the first question, which is, why did you take a gap year? So good question. And the honest answer is that I took a gap year because I had no clue what I wanted to study. I had just finished high school and I didn't know what to study. I had like a bunch of different options. But yeah, I also just wanted a break between high school and college because I knew taking a break would obviously be good for the soul, I guess. Second question, did you always plan on taking one or did it just happen? So it was definitely planned. Like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I did do some research, I did some planning, and I knew that taking a gap year would actually help in the decision-making process of what I wanted to do. How did your family react when you told them? So really good question, a very interesting question. At first, my parents were very against taking a gap year. So I love my parents and I know you guys are watching, but my parents are very traditional. Like they are sort of used to that idea of going to high school, getting your degree, and then moving into life from there. So they were very against a gap year, and it took a lot of motivation, it took a lot of convincing for me to actually say, hey listen, a gap year is gonna actually help me because I don't know what to study. But yeah, they were not really convinced at all at the beginning. They always said it would like slow me down in life, and I sort of had to prove to them like, listen, a gap year is anything but that. Did you feel scared or confident about your decision? I actually don't know how I felt at the beginning. I knew a gap year would be good for me, so I did feel somewhat confident, but I also felt scared because I was like, okay, it's a year of like no school. I didn't know what I was going to actually do in my gap year. So for me, it was a bit of both. Like it is obviously normal and it's perfectly okay to feel scared for your gap year, but I guess for me, I felt a bit of both. What were your biggest fears going into the gap year? I think what really got to me was what my parents said at the beginning, where a gap year would sort of slow me down in life. So my biggest fear was that a gap year was going to slow me down in life and that I would just waste my year doing nothing. I think their reaction sort of got to me. So I was thinking that I'm going to waste my year, and I just like thought really negative things. But then I realized, wait, you did your own research. A gap year is actually going to help you. Did you compare yourself to your friends who went to university? I tried not to. I honestly tried not to. I think it's normal to compare yourself to friends that are moving on in life when you at first thought that a gap year was going to set you back in life. I don't think I saw a single video of someone saying that they regretted a gap year. So I constantly like played the idea in my mind of that like a gap year is the best thing that's going to happen to me. And long story short, it is the best thing. How did you deal with people that were constantly judging your choice? I don't think I was ever faced with a situation where people were like bashing me and like judging me for taking a gap year. There was some people were like, you're going to get bored in your gap year or nothing is going to happen. You're just going to get stuck, you know what I'm saying? And I think what I did is I just sort of told them that, you know, a gap year is actually not what you may think it is. A gap year, everyone's gap year is different. Everyone experiences different things in their gap year. It's honestly just up to you to make it work. So now we are on the second topic, and that is productivity. So what did you do during your gap year? So story time. I actually did a lot during my gap year. So I started off my gap year in Durban. If you didn't know, I'm originally from Durban. Yeah, started off my gap year in Durban. I just finished high school. Like I just mentioned, I didn't know what I wanted to study, and I spent my first 4 months in Durban. What I did during those months, I started working on an animated short film called Pal, and I honestly didn't expect much from the film. I'll explain more about that process, but I didn't expect much from the film. I just made a film because I was like, I've always wanted to make a short film, and I had a lot of free time, so I was like, let me just do it. So in April 2024, I moved across the country with my family to Cape Town. Literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. Just by moving across the country, the doors that were opened in my life was insane. Continued to work on my short film, and then I heard about film festivals, so I was like, let me give it a shot. I didn't have any expectations or any high hopes, and I submitted it to Cape Town Squad International Film Festival. So the festival was in September. Literally, I think that film festival changed my entire life. So that was my very first film festival. I didn't even expect to like get in. It was like a red carpet event. I met a bunch of like famous people. It was like such an experience for an 18-year-old to experience. It was just like insane. I was the youngest director at that film festival. It felt very humbling to be in that space of like creativity, especially in the film industry. Long story short, I ended up winning an award. So my film pal ended up getting an honorable mention for the best animation, which still blows my mind till this day. I think ever since then, that was sort of confirmation that the film industry is where I belong. The moment I won that award, I knew immediately that the film industry is where I'm supposed to be. Then immediately after that, I started working on my second film. Second story, which is overcoming my anxiety. I was a very anxious person, like all throughout high school. I was a very quiet guy, and I'm not saying that if you're quiet you have anxiety, but like I was a very anxious guy. Like I was super quiet. I was always that kid in the back of the class who just like never spoke, and that was me. And then I moved here to Cape Town, and I sort of saw that as a new opportunity to like evolve my personality. So I found that I actually stay near a church, and I ended up going to the church very often. I met a bunch of amazing people there that were around my age, and I think just like surrounding myself in such a rich community like that literally removed my anxiety. I'm not even kidding. Like I could feel each time I was with this community, a part of my anxiety would go away, and I just forced myself to put myself out there. I went up to new people. I just introduced myself to like as many people as I could, and I think what also contributed was my film festival. Also having the opportunity to go up and speak in front of so many people about my own film, having that realization that people actually want to hear your story, and people want to hear your work, and people want to hear how you made a film. I had to speak in front of so many people and explain my process in my film. I was interviewed by the directors of the film festival. Doing that literally just broke my entire like anxious perspective on life, and ever since then I feel like I can just speak. I don't know, I feel like my personality has just evolved ever since then. But yeah, that's the two main things about my gap year. By the way, I did take a second gap year, which I should have mentioned in the beginning. There's a very specific reason as to why I took a second gap year, but this video is mainly going to focus on my first gap year. But yeah, that is pretty much the main highlights from my first gap year. How did you stay motivated without a routine? And such a good question. Whether you like it or not, you're going to lose that routine that you would usually get in like school. How I stayed motivated, I think I just forced myself into a new routine. So I developed like a schedule for myself. So I actually printed out like a timetable, and I was like, at 7 or 8 a.m. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do my morning routine, like wash my face, brush my teeth, whatever, and then start off with like a morning jog, and then first thing for like an hour or two I'm gonna animate, I'm gonna work on like a project. And of course I didn't 100% stick to that routine because no one was really forcing me to stick to the routine other than myself. Also, I feel like something I should add is that you shouldn't put too much pressure on yourself when it comes to routine in a gap year. It's called a gap year for a reason. You're gonna break routines, and that's okay. The important thing is that you are having fun because you did take a break. And I feel like if you put too much pressure on the routine, it's just gonna like destroy the whole point of a gap year. What were some of your biggest creative milestones? Like I mentioned at my film festival, I think just winning that award like actually opened so many doorways. I met so many incredible people. This year in September, I had a film festival as well, and my film pal won the best animation award. Like, sure, it still shocks me till this day. I'm still so flabbergasted that my film literally won the best animation award. So definitely I feel like that was my highlight of both my gap years. Another achievement was losing 20 kgs in like 5 to 6 months. So this year I started a weight loss journey, and I've been dieting, I've been improving my fitness levels, and in like just under 6 months I lost 20 kgs. And I think just for me personally, that's like such an incredible accomplishment and an achievement, and I'm still on the journey as well. What did a typical day in your life look like during your gap year? A typical day, honestly, very boring. I spend most of my time animating, like working on films, and then going on jogs, spending time with my friends. Just it's pretty much it. Honestly, it sounds very boring, but I think the animation took a lot of my time. Did you ever struggle with procrastination or burnout? Yes, 100%. I struggled a lot with procrastination. As an independent animator, I struggled so much with burnout and procrastination. I still struggle with procrastination, And I feel like, especially in a gap year, when no one's telling you what to do, it is so easy to fall in the trap of procrastination. So the third topic is social life. Did you lose friends or drift apart from them after high school? So my high school experience was something. It wasn't really the best experience. Like I said previously, I was a very anxious person. I was very quiet. I didn't really make a lot of friends in high school. I had like people that I stuck around with, but I wouldn't really consider them like close friends. And I don't speak to anyone from high school till this day. Maybe like I'll catch up with people once every few months, but that is pretty much it. So after high school, I feel like many friendships that I had just naturally faded away. There wasn't much I could do about it. How did you make new friends during your gap year? Like I mentioned, I joined a church, I joined youth groups. Also, honestly, I just put myself out there. I just introduced myself to people. I literally just put myself out there. Did you ever feel isolated or disconnected during a gap year? So honestly, it is very normal to feel isolated. Obviously, you're by yourself. There's no routine, there's no school unless you're working. But as someone who didn't work, as someone who was at home most of the time, I did feel very isolated. Okay, next topic, which is family expectations. Did your parents support your decision to take a gap year? Like I mentioned before, they were very against the gap year. So at first they didn't support it. Like they wanted me to study something, even if it was anything. Like they wanted me to study something. How did you prove that a gap year wasn't a waste of time? I honestly showed them my research. It was good to sort of do research together. They are my parents. They're going to be supporting me through this gap year, financially, emotionally, everything in between. Do your research, but also show them your research. Show them what you are looking at. Also, I showed them that like there will be cons in a gap year. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. There are going to be downs to the gap year. So I told them that I am going to be prepared for that. Okay, hey guys, editing Isaac here. And I just realized I didn't mention anything about financial support during gap years. And that's like the most important thing about gap years. Like you have to know who's going to support you financially. So I just thought I would interrupt the video for a second and just speak about financial support specifically. But I'm very grateful to have my parents support me throughout both my gap years. But I did want to work and get my own job and get my own income. So I applied to so many jobs, and long story short, it was quite a process. I went to a few job interviews, didn't get in. The main reason on why I didn't get in is because I didn't have any prior experience, which didn't make any sense. So instead of getting a job, I just took that time and worked on like animation project. Yeah, but I just thought I would interrupt myself because I feel like finances is such an important topic, especially for gap years. But yo, let's continue with the video. So next topic is personal life and growth. How did taking a gap year change you as a person? Taking a gap year honestly changed me a lot. Like I would never say that the version of me that existed in the beginning of my gap year and the version of me that is speaking to you now are the same people. We are different people. I feel like it's ironic because a gap year made me more social. Like you would expect the opposite, but I'm so social now. Like I'm a social butterfly. I'm like so social now. Like I can go up to someone, I can have a whole conversation, whereas in the beginning of my gap year I actually couldn't do that with my anxiety and with my overthinking and whatever I struggled with. I could never do that before. I took a gap year to work on myself and I ended up being like more social than ever. Did you ever feel lost or question your decision? I don't think there was a moment where I questioned if taking a gap year was going to be worth it. I feel like by making that short film and then by winning an award, I already knew like this is where I needed to be. And when that realization hit me, then I knew taking a gap year was obviously worth it. I never ever regretted taking a gap year. So the next topic is lessons and achievements. So first question is, what are you most proud of from your gap years? And I think I'm just most proud of how far I've grown mentally. Like yes, I've won awards, but just seeing how far I've grown like emotionally and mentally by seeing the challenges I've overcome, like anxiety and a bunch of other things, just seeing how far I've grown. What mistakes taught you the most? Oh, so one of my biggest regrets is not filming enough, not taking enough pictures and videos and just like documenting my gap year. I really wish I documented my gap year. And that taught me to document more often, which is why I started making YouTube videos. How did your achievements motivate you for your future? By being very confused on where I wanted to go in life, these achievements, these awards, honestly, like my film awards, for example, that definitely motivated me to continue in the film industry. And like next year, I'm going to go to film school. And I think without a gap year, I would have never decided to go to film school. Honestly, if I didn't take a gap year, film school is like the last thing on my list. If you could restart your gap year, what would you do differently? I wish I vlogged everything, like from the start, my feelings, my thoughts, my experiences, my emotions. I really wish I vlogged everything. So definitely filming and vlogging. I wish I started vlogging last year. Also my film festivals, I wish I vlogged them. Oh my gosh. So to wrap up the questions, do you think gap years are worth it for everyone? Do I think it's worth it? Yes. I feel like some way or another, you're gonna learn so much about yourself during a gap year. So some of my friends have taken gap years, and each and every one of them have never regretted taking a gap year. Even videos online, I've never seen anyone regret taking a gap year. I personally think it is definitely worth it to just take that break from school, but it honestly depends on your experiences and what you plan to achieve in your gap year. A gap year is only gonna be fun if you make it fun. So the last question, would you recommend taking a gap year? I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to say according to all my answers in this video. Yes, 100%, I would recommend taking that gap year. But yo, that honestly wraps up all the questions. And if you guys are still watching till this point, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video answered some questions that you guys had on gap years. And if you maybe are thinking of taking a gap year, I hope this video helped you with some unanswered questions that you guys may have had. And I wish you all the best of luck during your gap year. You are gonna have an amazing year, 100%. Definitely follow my Instagram so you can keep up with my second gap year as it comes to a close. But yo, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.